purpose of UNRWA, in other words, the United Nations Relief and Rehabilitation Administration, is to do a double-barreled job, to keep war victims from starving and perishing through lack of shelter and medical supplies, and to help devastated countries to get on their feet as self-supporting nations. Representatives of 44 countries gather in Montreal. Canada's Prime Minister welcomes the delegates.
It is with special pleasure that I join with others who have already extended greetings in welcoming to Canada all who are present at this meeting of the Council of the United Nations Relief and Rehabilitation Administration. No lesser service to humanity will be worthy of the sacrifices of those who have helped to preserve the world's freedom in the present war. Under the banner of the new order, let the nations united today in the cause of the world's freedom remain united in the service of mankind.
The Honorable Herbert Lehman, Director General of UNRWA, acknowledges the welcome.
We are happy and proud to meet here in Canada. Your great country has supported the idea and the operations of UNRWA to the fullest extent. I made the statement on Saturday that I feel very safe in asserting that no government and no people have surpassed Canada in their devotion to and in their service to UNRWA. I'm very grateful to you and yours.
Leaving behind the shattered Gothic line on the Italian front, elements of a Canadian division strike towards Rimini. The gateway to the Po Valley is stubbornly defended by the enemy. After preliminary bombardments, the enemy is pushed from his commanding positions to the left flank of the town, and Rimini is ours. But the army then falls the task of cleaning up the ruins. The Greek Infantry Brigade plays an important role with Canadians in capturing the town. To the liberators, the happy smiles of the fair. "24 hours before they leave for the fighting fronts of Europe, 300 men in a United Kingdom reinforcement unit buy $10,000 worth of victory bonds. Sails soar as wise fighting men save for future security. They know it takes more than their scrapping spirit to squelch the squarehead. They know their equipment costs hard cash and plenty of it. On the way to a date with Jerry, they know their future is secure. Their extra pay has gone into gilt-edged securities, victory bonds, an investment in victory. France, prefabricated airfield runways are surfaced in the record time of 14 hours for RCAF Typhoons. Under the supervision of officers of the RCE who devise new equipment to speed construction, an airfield is planned. Not far from enemy lines, the ground for the base is cleared of mines. Bulldozer crews move into action, taking down obstructions around the area so dispersals can be made for aircraft. Graders speedily clear what was a wheat field and grade the surface for runways. An important part of the streamlined construction is the drainage system. Having in mind the heavy rains which fall in the low countries, ditches are dug mechanically and drain pipes laid to keep the finished runways in perfect condition for landing. A charge of dynamite is so decisive. It does the job in a hurry, and the Air Force needs bases in a hurry. They must pave the way for the Army with a curtain of bombs and rockets. When the runways have been leveled off, the most important operation begins. Rolls of bitumen surfacing are loaded aboard the layer. The invention of a Canadian captain, the layer cuts the time of surfacing to a low value. You just roll the surfacing out like a carpet, press it into shape, and there you are. The wheat field of yesterday is now a completed airfield. Thanks to the new system of construction, planes are able to refuel at bases which are well forward in the Army area. Thus, when the Army calls for close support bombing, the RCAF is on the target right away. They provide the blasting power for the attack which is rocking the Reich. As the siege of Calais really gets hot, the German commandant requests a truce to evacuate civilians from the city. The CO Canadian troops agreed, and under the watchful eye of our civil affairs personnel, 20,000 evacuees stream out of the stricken city. Although suffering from the terrible bombardment and from scarcity of food, many would not leave their homes. Members of the FFI, going in under safe conduct from the enemy, persuade them to leave. The Calais truce is in effect, elements of the 1st Canadian Army launch a left hook to Cap Gris-Nez, small but powerful fort guarding the approach to the port. Heavies of Bomber Command renewed the attack on Calais by giving it more of the good old RCAF treatment. The prescription calls for 7,500 tons of high explosive in 4 days. It is filled, and how? Neither flesh, blood, concrete, nor steel could stand up to the bombardment from land and air. Canadian infantry muscle ever deeper into the maze of fortifications. Troops well trained in street fighting battle their way into the citadel which guards the dock system. The city, which was the scene of the heroic rear guard action by a British rifle brigade in 1940, soon falls. A broken, conquered city, a smoking tribute to the power of combined ops. In the attack, Jerry floods the approaches to the town. There's only one way through the watery maze. Canadians track it down and press home the attack along its path. Meanwhile, other Canadian units have smashed their way into Cap Gris-Nez. The tough garrison of over 2,000 is overwhelmed. It surrenders together with its general. 8 cross-channel guns are blown up and captured. No more will the giants belch their senseless fury against the peaceful Kentish coast towns. Broken monuments to checkmated oppression. Their power is smashed by a greater force of 3 nations. On the road to Antwerp, Canadians move to liberate the city from enemy shelling. Plowing through the mud of Belgium, the objective is the Leopold Canal and the Scheldt estuary, bounding an enemy base commanding the sea route into Antwerp harbor. West of the harbor, our artillery is given the task of taking out a water tower used as an enemy OPIP. A 17-pounder responds with direct hits. Flamethrowers are given a workout preparatory to supporting the infantry in their attack across the Leopold Canal. They provide hot arguments against resistance. Near Ypres, Canadian tanks clear the way with their guns. Due to the quick action of the White Army, Antwerp Harbour is captured in first-class shape. Taking over the docks, the Belgians held them for 3 days. The Germans were thus unable to do any demolition work. So a great supply base is secured, which will soon shorten by many miles and many months the road to Berlin.